As you know, the Meat Eater Live Tour is on April 23rd through May 5th. Chances are in a town near you. What you may not know is you can win tickets to each of these events just by going to a backcountry hunters and anglers pint night. There's going to be a pint night in each of these towns: San Diego, Salt Lake City, Tempe, Anaheim, Boise, Sacramento, Missoula, Portland, Tacoma, where you can compete in Meat Eater trivia and win not only tickets to the show, but a chance to be on stage with all of us. So get your butt to a pint night, and we'll see you on stage.
I'm KC.
And I'm Tyler.
And you're listening to
The Element Podcast.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Element Podcast. Today we're going to talk about some of the most cool, awesome, bestest things we have ever done. But first, a close second, we're going to break down our whitetail kits for you. So, Tyler, you do a lot of hunting out of a tree, maybe a tree stand. What do you like to wear when you're in the tree?
Well, there's a couple things to think about when you're in the tree.
Okay.
I was going to make a joke. So some of the things you got to think about when you're in a tree are going to be the fact that the wind and the cold weather envelops you. There's no thermal cover down up in the tree, really, like you get on the ground sometimes. So you're going to have to be warm, for one. And then there's another thing you think about where some of this stuff has to make it into the tree with you. And so organization and all that, that's another subject. But essentially, I'm going to always start with, or I have always started with, a pant that is uninsulated, because I walk long distances. I don't like an insulated pant. I like to use things that are insulated over the top of that pant typically, just because I cannot stand the old legs being hot on the way out. This is the Corgate Guide pant. It has these cargo pockets on the side, which I like side cargo pockets quite a bit. It's just a good durable pant that's stretchy. It's not too heavy, which is another thing. You know, you'll see in my kit, a lot of this stuff is lightweight, and that's there's something in that pocket right there.
What'd you forget?
How about that, man? A shotgun shell used, man. That was probably a turkey right there.
There you go.
So anyway, that's my bottom on the top. Can you throw me that right there? Oh, hey, that's nice, dude.
Thanks,
That's like
man.
change up.
Yeah.
I thought it was coming fast. Here we go. This is the Wick hoodie, and it's kind of their lightweight merino. It's got a hood on it. I'll use the hoodie part sometimes, and sometimes I don't use a hoodie. But essentially, a merino keeps you from being too stinky, and is a good warmth layer in the cold weather. Now, on the pants side of things, if I need that extra layer I was talking about, this is the Uncompahgre pant. It's essentially a puffy. That's pretty, got some puff in it, you know what I mean? And has these big Velcro sides and big zippers that are full length so that you can get this thing on once you get to the tree real easily without taking your boots off, or even when you're in the tree sometimes and you're in a saddle. You know, saddle can make things difficult, so you got to think about these things when you go to buying this stuff. But that's my warm layer that I like on my legs. I'm not a huge bib guy, so that's kind of typically what I use. Another thing, on the same note, the puffy. Now, I'm not super concerned with the noisy side of things a lot of times. I'm more concerned with my warmth to weight ratio, and that's what puffies give me the advantage of. Is these things are lightweight. This is the Brooks Down puffy, and it's super lightweight to the warmth that it brings. Usually use it as a mid layer. Obviously, it's a solid, so you can kill them in solids, but I like to have advantages whenever I can pull that off.
What camo was that right there?
This right here is Spectre. And so this is another, well, I would call it a mid, or, it's not a base, but it's a light mid layer. And this is the Origin hoodie. This goes with me all the time. I like it because it fits kind of slender, which helps your other jackets on the outers fit well over the top of that, right? So it's a good insulator that sits pretty close to the body. It's got a mask in it, which is handy in a lot of situations. And I'll talk about the mask stuff later. But in Kansas this year, I actually it was like hot the first day, but once I got in there, it started cooling off, and I continued to layer up as I go. And I was actually in a tree stand that time. I hunt a saddle a lot, but that was in a tree stand that night that I shot my buck in Kansas, and I was wearing this Origin. So another thing, I wear different outers a lot of times. I've been using some long sleeve outers, but I'm thinking about going to this, and I got this year because of a suggestion from a good friend of mine named KC Smith. He wears this thing. It's a Solitude vest, and it's Inspector, right? Inspector Gadget. That's what she looks like, and this thing is like heavy duty, man. Like there's some good insulation in this thing, but at the same time, it's a vest, so you don't have to worry about that big bulky feeling you get on your arms when you put too many layers on. You're trying to draw your bow back, and you look like a snowman, right? The last thing I'm going to talk about is this is just a neck gaiter. I have a Spectre one somewhere, but I'm not too worried about the camouflage side of things and the face as much, but this is a big key thing for me. I take it everywhere, even early season, because there's a bug proofing factor to it. A lot of times those mosquitoes will come in and try to get on your mouth and your nose and your eyes and stuff. In the evening when it gets still, I am like, I need to get some protection from that, so I'm not doing this the whole night, when it's still or whatever. And then also, obviously, like down to freezing, below freezing, way below freezing temps, I wear this thing, and it keeps my face and ears warm, but also is thin enough to, it's Airwool wick. Same thing, kind of the merino is like that base layer wick that I showed earlier. But it's light enough that it's crazy. It keeps you warm, but you can hear things really well still, even putting it up over your ears. So that's like a small thing, but a key component of my system. My friend KC hunts the ground probably a little more than I do, and I would say quite a lot. And
Yep.
you've got a system that you prefer for that, right?
I do. I mean, simplicity is a big deal, I think, when you're on the ground, because you just can't keep up with a bunch of stuff when you're moving around a lot. So one of the things that I want to address here is that everything we're talking about is available on the First Light season opener sale right now. It's like 20% off most everything on the site. It's pretty bad to the bone. Go check it out. There's a link in our profile if you're looking on Instagram. There's a link in the description if you're on YouTube. And where else is this going? Podcast. There's a link in the description on podcast as well, so check that out and go to the season opener sale on firstlight.com. So I don't really do a lot of lower layering, as you might say, when it comes to ground hunting, okay? You just pretty much need to roll with whatever breeches you got on, and that's why I like to wear these, okay? This is an extra new pair that I just got. This is the Catalyst Foundry, okay? It's got a full zip all the way down the side right here. You can see it comes with suspenders. I don't usually wear them. My butt's plenty big enough to hold it up. That's a joke. But full zip all the way down so you can get plenty of venting anytime you want to. Make sure you wear something under them, though. Otherwise, you will be asked to not come back to the gas station. But super heavy duty, but not hot, right? It's really good for blocking wind. It's almost like a canvas material on the outside, okay? So really great pant. Comes with knee pads as well if you like those. I don't really like them very much. I usually take them out. So that's what I wear on the bottom. It's just a very durable pant. My base layer for my top is going to be a wick hoodie, kind of like what Tyler just showed you, except this is a Terra. It's a brown color from First Light. Pretty cool, great for ground blinds and stuff like that. But I'll wear that or the camo version one as well. And then I will usually be running a mid layer most of the time. I'll put that on kind of as just the base warmth, and you can take it off, or you have something on underneath midday when you're really hot. But I'll wear something like this, either Origin hoodie, or this is a merino. It's a kiln hoodie. This again is in the Terra color, which is the dark brown. You can wear that in Spectre or any of the other camouflages out there as well. And then my usual last layer, ground hunting, is going to be this jacket. Now, there are situations where it's super cold and you do need more than this. But in general, most of my rut hunting throughout the Midwest and in the South, this kit's going to get you there. This is probably one of my favorite pieces from First Light ever. It's the Source jacket. It's pretty affordable, honestly. It's a poly insulated, so it's not down. It's not going to be where it gets wet and stops working, right? This thing will keep you warm even when it's wet. Super quiet, right? It has this very soft material on the outside, but doesn't grab any burrs or anything like that you might run into running around on the ground. Full zip, so it's easy to get on and off, and it's just probably one of the best jackets that they make, and I love it because it's pretty inexpensive. It's got a great color, no sheen to it, right? It's very flat tone, and you just don't get seen when you wear it. It blends into everything from cedar trees to grasslands to big old oaks up in the tree. It's a multi-purpose jacket, and I don't know if you could find a better piece if you're looking for like the one thing to buy on the season opener sale. So go check that out on firstlite.com, season opener sale right now. And with that, we are now going to talk about the coolest things that we have ever done this summer. So we've been doing some traveling, of course. It's a good time to spend some time with friends and family and really just go try to cool off because Texas is insanely brutal right now. There's some kind of heat dome and I don't know, all this, that, and the other. They try to act like it's the worst year ever every year, but really it's just always real bad in the summertime.
Heat dome, put those together. That's home.
Yeah, that's right. That's what we call it, baby. I love it. I love it. So we all kind of escaped in our own ways, right? Eric, you went to the Plain State. Greg, you went to Colorado, as we call it. I call it here. Tyler, where'd you go? Lasker. I went the wrong direction and went to the coast in Texas, the beach, where it's also very, very hot. But as y'all know, we spend a lot of time doing outdoorsy type stuff. This is kind of our last push to kind of go and do a lot of other cool, fun stuff that we enjoy with our family and friends before we just get to throwing it down in the deer woods. Actually, we're going to be doing a little antelope hunting pretty soon. I'm pretty excited about that. I've been working on an antelope kit, which pretty much just includes the First Light Merino brief. That's about all you need. And I'll be wearing those exclusively on the hunt and nothing else. So those also are 20% off on the First Light season opener sale. But might I add, worth the full price. I'm impressed with that little piece. So, Greg, tell me about your time in Colorado.
Man, Colorado's it's a lot cooler than Texas this time of year.
Do you mean like capital C or lowercase c?
KC.
KC.
Lower KC.
But,
Lower KC has some briefs on right now. At least I hope.
Went to Colorado to escape the heat a little bit, but
Wow. Dude.
What is going on?
Your name is close to.
It does it a lot.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah, we're just going to leave that in because it's funny, but Siri just picked up all of a sudden because we said my name. Weird. So, anyways.
But went to Colorado to escape the heat a little bit, but got to Denver and it was like 96 degrees.
Yeah.
So it was like not much different, but once we drove up in the mountains, it was quite a bit better. So
yeah. So you took the like up and over approach to getting in the mountains, which I don't do very often.
Yeah,
is that because you want to be like in a different part of the state? Which we're not going to highlight areas too much. You don't do that.
Are you sure we're not? Because we've done it before.
Yeah, that's right. Well, maybe for Alaska, because I mean, how many people are going to go there anyways, right? But what? Anyways, you went up and hit the interstate. Is that a thing you've done? Have you spent time at the northern half of the state?
A long time ago as a kid, maybe going ski trips or something, but that's the first time I've done it in the summertime.
Gotcha.
So.
Yeah, that's cool. And what was the goal of your trip?
To catch some fish.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, dude. You're about to be kicked off the team catching fish like that.
You've recently picked up a fly rod.
Yeah, recently just picked up a fly rod and just watched a few videos on YouTube and started chunking it.
On the Element Channel or other?
I watched one or two on the Element Channel. But.
Let's go.
We haven't done a lot of explanation about how to cast a fly rod. It's more of a, hey, here's some fish you can catch. So
yeah.
I don't blame you. You can look elsewhere. We're not going to get mad.
I might have snuck off.
One of our most popular fly fishing videos on our channel, I caught like a 3-incher.
What is that?
That what was that? Is
the
that
McLeod River
Crescenti? Crescenti cutthroat.
Crescenti cutthroat.
Yeah,
yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
Another popular fly fishing video we have is all in the Twin Cities of Minnesota.
Yeah,
it all happens within the city limits.
That one was cool.
That's fun, man.
Yeah,
a little short video.
Little one.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3.5 minutes or something, wasn't it?
I think 6. Was it only 3.5 though? Maybe so.
That was like one song because it's all we could afford.
That's probably right. And actually used it in a few videos. So what'd you catch, Greg?
Well, went up there. My buddies caught quite a few rainbows and brown trout, and but we decided to go on this little hike, and it was like an impromptu hike up to this like high elevation lake, and it was like a 2,000-foot ascent. And we started at like 2:00 in the afternoon.
Whoa!
Did not bring enough water.
I believe that.
Oh wow! I can't imagine that that's what you did.
I brought enough water, but my buddies didn't.
Yeah. Did they drink out of the lake?
No. Well, my one buddy, he drank out of the stream. I was like, dude, you probably shouldn't do that.
Have you checked on him?
Not last couple of days, but I told him to go over and get some snow, and he went over and he melted some snow into his water bottle.
Interesting.
I think he was
It's
all
a good
right.
survival trick.
Yeah, but
Learn that from Bear Grylls?
somewhere like that.
Yeah.
But we got up there. There's quite a few fish up there.
Yeah, it's good.
And,
What'd you catch?
I caught one cutthroat, but it was a really cool looking fish.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
was.
That
I was
was
jelly.
That was probably my favorite fish I've ever caught. Like,
Yeah.
that's the
Dang,
coolest
dude.
thing I've
It's a
ever.
monumental time in your life.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I caught them on like a little pheasant tail, like tiny little. I don't even know
Beadhead.
what it's called.
Yeah.
Yep. Sweet, dude.
That is cool, man.
When you posted that or you sent it in the group or however I saw it, yeah, you didn't even send it to
It
us.
was
You
on
don't
my
care
story.
about
It was
it.
on my story.
It was on your story. And is that on King Country Hunts?
Yeah, that's on King
All
Country
right.
Hunts.
Yeah, Greg's pretty good follow because he don't post much, but when he does, it's kind of like when he talks. Like, you got to pay attention,
Yeah.
because it's good.
means
That's what
something.
we were driving around with the guy the other day looking some places to deer hunt. And this guy was like, hey, your compadre back here, has he ever saved very much? I said, no, but you better listen when he goes to talk.
Your uncle Padre.
Yeah.
Uncle
Tyler,
Padre.
tell us about what you had going on. So, y'all probably catch on to this, right? But Tyler and I talk more than we even do to our significant others, which brings up the question, how significant is our relationship? It's pretty significant.
Let's go,
It's,
dude.
we intentionally don't talk about our vacations so that we can talk about this stuff on air or whatever it is that we're doing. If we do something cool, it's like we got to put the headphones on for that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know anything about your trip except that you went to Alaska pretty much.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. I just got on the old X app, which is Twitter, formerly known as Twitter. It's kind of like Prince, but it's now known as X, you know. Well, he was known as a symbol, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was marketed as kind of like a weird thing, but apparently it was like a licensing thing because his label had permission to Prince. And so he changed his name to the symbol.
Way to go.
That way he could go out and be an independent.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah, well, this seems to be working too. X, we just started a new account on for the Element.
Sweet.
It's called, what's it called? The Element Texas? No. Is that it? The Element TX. The Element TX. If you want to follow us, go do that. But I was looking, I followed Jim Shockey from our account. And Jim just posted some spot prawns and an octopus dinner. Looks about like a crawfish gumbo is what it looks like.
I can just see myself just face first into
See that loogie right there? It ain't too much, but this stuff down here, that looks okay.
What
you
is
know?
that loogie?
That's octopus, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, but I like octopus actually, but stewed or whatever, I'm not so sure about. The spot prawns, we actually sent some home. Because we sent some fish home because we did some fishing. So we were like, well, we might as well throw one of these little spot prawn packages in there too. You know, we didn't actually get to catch ours. I think he goes out and catches.
Oh,
them.
so you could buy some commercially caught spot prawns.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so we put some in there. And
You know something I'm really interested in? Did y'all get any octopus?
no,
Okay. You know that, so I like food. You can tell since this is a video podcast, right? But I want to do that Japanese octopus thing where it's like alive and you wrap it around the chopsticks and then stick it in soy sauce and eat it. Have you seen that? Yeah.
you eat a live octopi.
Yeah, you got to chew it fast. It's like one of the deadly things that you can eat. Because if you don't chew it up fast, the octopus sticks to your throat.
Just beats you.
No, he seals you off
Oh, that's good.
because you can't breathe.
So that's
you
not-
got to chew hard.
So this is not something I'm interested in actually at all.
See, I don't want to eat the stuff like the puffer fish that's like poisonous. I don't
Yeah.
want to do that. But like if it's like a man over beast type thing like
It's like
that,
if you can use some muscle to get this thing done.
That's right.
Yeah,
I like it. Yeah.
It's like I don't like when they quietly come about and try to get me.
Yeah. So you sent some fish back.
So yeah, I sent some fish back. We went fishing. So what we did was I was right in the middle of a buck truck editing for that series. The hardest thing I've ever had to put together.
Which, by the way, is like the last 2 episodes are coming up soon.
Yeah.
Like this fall. There's going to be a September and an October one.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we still have 2 episodes left, one with Clay in Arkansas and one with Mark in Texas. And so those will be coming out. So still not over with, but edited finally. Done, right? Well, during the spring, it's kind of when we were booking this Alaska trip. Kaylee, my wife, she was like, hey, I want to go, I'd like to go to Alaska just to celebrate, you guys having a good season or whatever. Well, I'm like, I can't celebrate nothing right now because I am neck deep in all kinds of footage. I cannot find my way out, I was like, you book it. So long story short, she books it and I just go where she tells me to go pretty much. And she did a really good job booking the whole thing pretty much. Except for I did the fishing trips, but she kind of told me what days that we had fishing trips, we could do fishing trips and where we'd be and all that. So we did a halibut trip, which was, if you ever heard of Barnum and Bailey, it was that on the water.
Why?
Dude, I'm talking hilarious. We went on a halibut trip that I found out was for chickens, which is actually small halibut. And it was with 28 other people.
Oh, it's like party boat style.
Party boat style, dude.
Gotcha.
Me and Jet went. And, dude, they had women and children. Jet was about better at reeling these big, heavy things up than, like, grown men on this boat. They were just, the men, which you could probably tell why, were about, like, as bad as the women at just, like, getting tangled up. Couldn't get these fish to come straight up. The fish were whooping the dudes, And
using like a pin 4-aught and stuff like.
I don't know what we're using. I was more looking at the 3-pound weight that was on there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, huge like weight, like to the point. And they were like, you have to hold it, But we pulled up and we go to, I'm like, golly, this is heavy, and Jet's struggling to like manage this weight or whatever, But it gets it down there quick. And we pull up, and we're supposed to be like on the front edge of the current picking up. And so we pull up. I catch a fish pretty quick. A couple people catch a fish, and then we don't catch nothing, and our lines are just like about near horizontal. And it's like current's kicking, man. And so we fish like that for a while, and I'm like, hey, are we going to do something here, So finally the captain's like, hey, we're going to drift. So everybody pull up. So we, there's like people that literally could not reel the weight up. Like, I'm talking so exhausted by the time they pulled it up, And it was like I was sore the next day, for sure. That shows you that I don't work out this summer.
Dude, it's weird. Fishing is especially one of those things where, like, if you go do a different type of fishing than you're used to, and it could be like different conventionally, like tackle wise, or different animals, or a different area, or whatever. You will always end up sore in a weird spot.
Yeah, different muscle groups you don't normally use.
If you haven't fly fished in a long time, trout's different. But, like, if you're on Texas coast and whipping out big flies, you're going to be sore.
Yeah.
If you're reeling up something heavy, you're going to be sore.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're, who knows, you catfishing, you're going to be sore.
Yeah, for sure. And that was, I mean, I was definitely sore. But anyway, we reel up, and we run up a little ways, I guess the front edge of the reef or whatever we were fishing. And, dude, it was like, I was like, okay, they're going to put us on the spot because we caught them right off the bat when just a couple people did. But I was like, I need to be the first one down there in case there's only, a few of them down there on the spot. I want to be the first one down, pulling up, trying to get my limit, which was 2. And so, as soon as he's like, all right, y'all drop them down, he shuts the motor, says, y'all drop them down. I'm like, I like let that sucker go, and I was free spooling that sucker all the way down until I was like, okay, we're probably getting pretty close. Put my thumb on it and let it, slow down a little bit so I don't backlash. Thump, hit the ground, and I flip the flip the nail and crank it twice. And I'm talking, I hadn't pulled my hand off the reel before. I'm like, is that that's a bite. That's a bite.
Thing we're here for.
I'm getting a bite, and I'm like, I'm going to wait because I don't want to just, it's a pretty big bait. And so I wait. It finally, that thing kind of loads, and I'm like, whoa, start reeling, and I'm like, I got the first fish. I got the fish, you know? And I'm like, this is good. You know, I'm reeling this thing up. I look over, and it's like, whop, 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 whop. Dude, I bet 20 people had a fish on at the same time, dude.
Nice.
I bet 20 of the 28 people had a fish on all of a sudden. And there was dadgum. We got like a captain and 2 deckhands. And, dude, I have never seen – the deckhands were the most impressive employees I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I've never seen a person work that hard in my life for 6 hours, you know. They were pretty chill actually for about 2 hours that we went out there. But then the next 4 hours, which was 2 out there and 2 on the way back, they literally ran the whole time. I mean, I'm telling you, it was so impressive to me because you don't see people work like that anymore anyway, especially after COVID, you know, like people don't want to work. These dudes were, I'm not lying, they were running the whole time. And when they were filleting fish, you couldn't even process what they were doing. It was so fast.
Did they fillet on the way in? That's what they were doing?
Yeah.
So
and
they
took
cleaned the
almost
fish
whole
all the
time.
way in.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I'm talking, dude, it was just, I mean, just, they were talented people, you know what I mean? And, so I was very impressed with that. But long story short, those people were getting tangled, and I was laughing because, I mean, I had my limit. But I would have been laughing either way just because it was almost to be expected, but it was even better than you expected, and people were just incapable of not, you know, it was just funny because those things are built for families and because it's kind of cheaper per person, and you know, they're going to make sure, but they had the system, dude. I was impressed, which it makes sense to me logically now. I mean, they've been doing it years and decades or whatever, so it makes sense, but you kind of don't realize how detailed their systems are. Every rod is set up with different colored lines, so you got a blue, white, blue, white, blue, white, all the way down the gunnels or whatever, you know, and that way they know if somebody catches one and tangles everybody up, they know it was the blue line next to the white line or whatever, you know, that had the bait on it. And they had different zip ties, different colored zip ties that you put around your fish. You get one for an over and one for an under. The under has a little black thing on it. And so you've got your colored zip ties. So Jet and I, you know, got to keep it. So that's per group, you know. And so that's how they know and keep up with your fish, in case you catch a big one or whatever. It was cool, man. But anyway, we did that. Saw a live puffin, wild. That was cool, dude. You know.
They have the little fish hanging out of his beak.
No,
that's like the picture you always see.
That's the only way that I think they can photograph them. You know, is with a fish in their beak. But they were super cool, and we ended up going to an aquarium too while we were on we basically did a Kenai Peninsula tour.
Yeah,
and
hey, so I want to hear a little bit more about the fish before you move on to that.
Yeah.
So how many fish did you catch?
Well, I caught 3, and Jet caught 2. We could only keep 2, and I didn't realize that we were on our last drift when I threw my second one back. And he was like, this one's about 26. It's got to be, let's see, you can only keep one over 28 inches, I think. And I'd kept it 27. This one was smaller. And I was like, man, I'd like to catch a bigger one. Well, I'm like, and they were in a frenzy, right? And he goes, you want to keep it? And I was like, let's try for another one. And he said gutsy, but he said the other word for it, and just throws it overboard. And then I find out literally right after that's our last drift because he tells somebody else that. And I was like, oh, dadgummit. So I was send that thing back down there as fast. It was leaving vapor trails. It was going so fast, dude. That weight was. And it hits the bottom, and I caught another one, and it was actually... No, actually, I had another 27. You keep 2 unders or 1 over 1 under. I had another like 27-inch fish. I decided to throw it back because I was going to try to catch an over, and I ended up downgrading by like 2 inches, which was sad. But you know, that's just the way it went.
So you kept 4 fish.
We kept 4 altogether.
Yeah.
Yep. So you get 16 fillets.
So a good amount of fish.
I think it's going to be all right. I'm sure when it shows up on my door, it might actually be out there right now. We got a knock just a second ago. Probably melting out there.
Hopefully it's a decently insulated thing.
I'm
thinking about this for like as far as like a food acquisition type deal.
Yeah.
Is that the kind of trip to do?
Dude, I think that the way to do it, if I was going to give advice, would be to get you and 5 other friends or something and like get your own charter. Because when we stopped in Valdez early on in the trip, and dude, this boat came in and pulled these fish out and put them on. They hung them up, took pictures of them. There was like 2 halibut that were legit. I don't know. This may sound hideous, but like I've looked back at the pictures to make sure I was thinking right. They looked like they were 5 foot long. They were huge,
I believe
dude.
it.
There was 2 of them, and there was another big one too.
In the world record, like 400 pounds.
Yeah, it's over. I think it's over. Well, I think so. Yeah.
But it's rare to catch over 200 now, right? Like,
I mean, these
super rare.
fish looked like 200 pounders. Of course, they're flat, but on one side they're thick. I think that's the upside, the colored side. They're pretty thick. Their fillets are bigger on the colored side. So,
hold on. Our GoPro just stopped recording, and now it's recording again.
Okay.
excellent. But that side's pretty thick, and I think you could do a trip with some buddies and probably not get quite as tangled and really get a lot of fish. I mean, those are going to be way bigger fillets. I think they got it down to a system, like I said. They're trying to put you on 28-inch fish. I don't know how they know, like, where they're at or what. However,
It's
they're
got to
doing
be a
it.
depth thing or something.
Dude, I'm telling you,
nobody
though,
caught a big one.
No.
Yeah.
There was a king salmon caught, which was weird. It wasn't very big, but they kept it. I guess it's legal, but
Yeah.
that was
funny.
interesting. It's somebody who's just like can't even get their bait, you know, like they're just like struggling at the top, I'm sure, or whatever. But
I did a party boat thing when I was like 7 or 8 on the Texas coast, and you kind of, what's going on over there?
Is it full? Batteries?
you want me to
still?
press record again?
I mean,
Sure.
Probably.
All right.
Okay. It's funny because I did one of those party boat things one time too on the Texas coast. I was like 7 or 8 years old, and you're highly reliant on the knowledge of like the mates of like what the limits are, what the sizes
Yeah.
are, and what species you can kick. Because you're just like, I'm the person who's reeling,
Yep.
So
It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Because I hate reading all the
it's
regulations.
a mess, dude.
Dude, I was scared to fish there.
Yeah.
I honestly, like, early in the trip, I wanted to go fish. I wanted to, like, try to catch a rainbow in Alaska. I wanted to catch a grayling, and I wanted to catch a Dolly Varden while I was up there on my fly stuff. And I got scared, dude. I'll be honest. Like, I was like, the last thing I want to do is get rung up with a ticket anyway, and then the last thing that needs to happen is some dude that has a power trip that wants to take down some dude who works with Meat Eater, And so I was like, I'm just going to chill because every river has got different regs. There's like different zones that you can fish, different equipment, because it was all like sustenance fishing originally, right, in Alaska, and that's what fishing is, obviously, if you go back far enough, but like, billions of years or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So if you, but for real, like, they still have these like native people that get to do a lot of this sustenance stuff, and even residents can do like netting and stuff like that on certain days. Dude, they shut the halibut fishing down for like 2 days a week, like Tuesdays and Thursdays or something. You can't fish for them. So like this year, I mean, there's just like all this random stuff. I'm like, I got kind of spooked. At one point, I was gonna go fish. And we decided, we pull up to this place. It's a park, and there's like a creek that comes into the Kenai River. And I was like, oh yeah, there'll be some fish in this little creek, and I can access it through the park right there, right? And maybe I'll just go down there and look. We pull up. There's like a huge like farmers market or whatever going on. It's a market show, like huge, dude. And so anyway, we start walking, and people are just slaying fish in the Kenai. And like, they're lined up, and they're just like pulling them out, man. And, we walk down this bridge, and we go to the creek that I was looking at. And there's some dudes fishing on the other side of the creek, and we're just watching them. A dude catches a nice fish. Looks like a silver, I guess, or maybe, I don't know. It looked like a silver. He catches it, puts it on a stringer, knocks it out, puts it on a stringer, goes back to fishing. And then all of a sudden, this game warden just fires up the river right beside us and pulls up like 20 yards out from all these guys fishing on the north side of the creek, pulls his phone out, keeps the boat is like in the river, just stopped because he's got the throttle going like the right speed or whatever. I mean, like he's done this before, and then he takes a picture of all those guys and then goes over to them and gives them all tickets because they're fishing like literally 5 feet on the other side of the posted sign for no fishing on this side of the sign. I mean, they were right on the other side of it. And I'm like, man, sometimes I understand it, but like, could you not have caught them on this side of the sign, you know?
Yeah. It's just like, hey, y'all, don't go over there.
But anyway, so that we were like, and the guy that just caught the fish, he kind of like walks around the bend and grabs his fish and crosses the creek quick and goes right down the ramp and cleans it and takes off.
Dang. Stuck it to the man.
Yeah, he did. And he was like just tiptoeing out of there, man. But it was, I decided not to fish at that point, if you can imagine. And so I didn't fish a whole lot on this trip. I didn't fish on my own until the last day. We did some salmon fishing, we were on the little Susitna River. It was beautiful,
What
dude.
kind?
We caught silvers and one chum that was fresh, so we kept it too.
Really?
Yep.
Cool.
So, and we got all those. I got those in the mail yesterday. It's expensive to ship them, by the way. But so if you can carry a soft side, you know, if you work for Yeti and you want to send me one of those, that'd be awesome. Otherwise, I don't have a soft side that I can take up there really. So we didn't. We did the shipping thing. But anyway, that was the extent of my fishing outside of the last day. We were headed to Nally National Park, and I got to fish some of the rivers on the way up there. Caught an awesome rainbow, and like I got broke off by a rainbow right off the bat. Yeah.
On what?
I was using 4-pound test fluoro.
No, like what fly?
Oh, they're all dries.
Really?
Yeah, all dries. We caught like 3 rainbow in that one little hole, and then we kind of had to get on, you know. And then I ended up on the way back from the park catching a grayling on a dry too, a nice one. And
that's cool.
Those rainbows are awesome, dude.
So
they pull so hard, man.
Are those bows up there gonna be like native fish?
I think so, dude. They were so colorful.
Yeah.
I mean the red bar down the middle, the cheeks, spots all over them.
They're really heavily spotted, right?
Yeah, dude. Oh, I could catch hundreds more of those before I got tired of it, dude. Maybe thousands.
It's cool.
Like in a day.
As you know, the Meat Eater Live Tour is on April 23rd through May 5th. Chances are in a town near you. What you may not know is you can win tickets to each of these events just by going to a backcountry hunters and anglers pint night. There's going to be a pint night in each of these towns: San Diego, Salt Lake City, Tempe, Anaheim, Boise, Sacramento, Missoula, Portland, Tacoma, where you can compete in Meat Eater trivia and win not only tickets to the show, but a chance to be on stage with all of us. So get your butt to a pint night, and we'll see you on stage.
But it was a great trip, man. We did a bunch of different things. We did the ferry from Whittier to Valdez. We went through the world's longest tunnel. I don't know. We had a great time. I think I could have relaxed a little more. We were busy every day.
Did you go to Seward?
Seward.
Seward.
Yep, that's where we went to an aquarium there. That was awesome.
My dad, that's his favorite place they went.
Yeah. I didn't like it. I liked Seward okay. I didn't like it. Main thing was because the food was super expensive and there wasn't a whole lot of options.
Yeah.
And so like every day at dinner there's like 2 restaurants that have decent ratings and they're packed and they're like, you're going to spend $120 in there for 4 people. It was just rough.
Yeah.
Food was rough overall in Alaska because it was just everything's, higher. So, but Seward was pretty cool. Like some of those, Whittier was really cool because there's no way there except through a tunnel. It used to be a military tunnel that they created for, so you could get to that base. And I think it was during Cold War era stuff, for military. So, but just cool old historic fishing stuff,
See plenty of bears?
Saw one bear.
One bear.
From way off. Kaylee and I were the only one who could see it through the binos, I think. It was just a black spot that was moving. I mean, I would have known it was a bear if I couldn't see that it was moving. I would have just thought it was a rock, pretty much. So, but no brown bears. And
How about
No
that?
other black bears. We saw
Yeah.
a ton of moose. And I got to fly in a bush plane.
Like a cub? Like there's a dude in front of you and you're behind him?
No, it was a it was a 6-seater. One of our elders at our church he's from Alaska. You know him. He used to work with this guy who lives in a community, like a golf course community, but it's for plane flyers. And so it's built in a circle, and in the backyard of everybody's backyard is a strip. And so he has 2 planes, one small one, one big one. Pulls the big one out. We pull up to the house. He gives us a few notes. We hop in, and the 4 of us are taking off from behind his house in no time.
That's cool.
And I'd never been in a bush plane, you know?
Yeah.
It was kind of spooky at first, but it's like you take off, and it's near Anchorage, and you just like ride up into the Chugach Mountains right off the bat. We're flying over glaciers. We're flying over doll sheep. He's like, we're going to go over here and take a look at these sheep, you know. We get pretty close, you know. They weren't even really spooked. I mean, we weren't like, you know, buzzing them or anything, but you could see them good. You could see the rams and the ewes and stuff. And man, I legit smiled for an hour. My face hurt, dude. I mean, it was probably, I've done a lot of cool things. It was one of the coolest things I've done, man.
That's cool.
So, trip was good. I know I'm long-winded right now, but we did a lot of things, man.
Yeah, you had the coolest trip by far.
It was fun, man. I mean, we didn't see any whales or anything. I'm trying to think if there was anything else exciting that happened. Really, you know, it was a lot of sightseeing and those kind of things. But yeah, the salmon weren't really running. I think August is the main time that they do that thing. We were just a little bit early. They had a lot of snowpack and a late start in summer, so the glaciers were like any major river, at least if it was great glacial fed, which most of them are, was just like chocolate milk pretty much. So I was a little bit bummed. We did see 2 red salmon, or a couple of red salmon, the last night. We saw them running up this river. It was awesome.
Yeah.
They're huge, dude. I thought they were like daggum whales coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, they were huge, man. It was awesome.
My cousins that used to live up there would send us pictures of them and their kings, you know, or I guess they got one a day or something like that. It'd be like the size of the person.
Yeah.
It's weird.
They're crazy, dude. And kings get giant.
Yeah.
I think their world record's like 98 pounds or something.
Strange.
Dude.
And they got some weird camo on them,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, I think it was like a big salmon. They're silver, but those things aren't. They're like
Yeah.
kind of like a army-looking
Yeah.
fish.
When they're army green. When they get into the river, that's what they do.
Yeah.
They turn army green. Yeah. They have a really cool green on top when they're sea run or whatever. But they are very silver and they have spots. That's how I could tell the difference. We had a dinner play or whatever. It's like a thing that when Valdez, little tiny town, you feel like you're literally the only humans on earth when you're there. And we were looking for dinner one night. We're driving around. I was like, hey, there's a place right there, you know. We whip in there, and they're doing like a theater. And they have a play going on. It's really good. I mean, I'm in the middle of nowhere, Alaska, and there's like 6 people that are acting very good. Like they're doing some good acting, you know. And my kids were just engaged the whole time, dude. It was so fun. But they taught us the salmon. It was like a historical lesson through this play. It was pretty cool. And it lasted like an hour while we were there. We came in late. They told us this is how you can remember the salmon. So if you're watching, you can look at me. If you're not, I'll try to explain it. The thumb is the chum, right? Chum salmon. You take your pointer and you stick it in your eye as sockeye, right? Middle finger is the big one. That's the king, right? The ring finger, you put a silver ring on. That's the silver. And then the pinky is the pink salmon. So that's how you got them. Chum, sockeye, big one is the king, silver for the ring. And then you put the pinky in, or pinky is the pink salmon. So
Chum is a dog, same thing?
Yep.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah, there's a bunch of names for them, right?
Yeah.
Silver is coho. King is a chinook. And I think the pink is the pink. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sockeyes, they call reds, too. They're supposed to be really good tasting, too. But I think pinks and chums, people will have their differences on this, right? But pinks and chums, I think, are the least favorite of the salmons.
My parents went up there. They caught a bunch of pinks. And they're kind of like they're good for smoking.
Yeah.
That's about it, I think.
They're smaller, too, right? They're the smallest, I think. Yep.
Don't you have to use a plank for fish when you smoke them. Is that right? Like a wooden plank? or something?
People do that a lot.
I thought this was a joke.
No.
What?
You heard the joke, right? The cedar plank. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah,
Greg?
you throw the fish away.
This is how you smoke salmon.
Yeah.
You always get some guy that tells this joke.
Yeah.
You stick them on a cedar plank. You put all the stuff on them, the oil and the spices, and you stick that thing in the smoker and you smoke it for 3.5 hours at 375 or whatever, And then he's like, and then at the end you throw the fish out and you eat the plank.
Yeah, I have heard that.
I thought you were making that joke right
I
there.
have heard that, though.
Yeah.
Yummy.
Uh-huh.
I don't understand the cedar thing, anyways.
I think cedar's supposed to be nasty.
It's an undesirable taste.
Yeah. I think that they're saying a cedar plank is.
Well, no, it's a real thing. People
Is
do.
it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. They put the fish on top of cedar plank and put it on the grill.
Give me a slice of hickory.
Yeah, for real. Something
You know what I mean?
good.
Yeah. Cedar. That ain't even. I don't even want that stuff in my house.
Well, here's the deal, man. What we call cedar and what they call cedar might be
Yeah.
different.
Well, that's true.
It's
Illinois.
evergreen.
In Illinois, they call it something different for sure.
You
might
see any
be.
cedars in Illinois?
Let me think. I want to say I did on the golf course.
Yeah.
I think I pointed one out with my brother and made that joke.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah.
What'd you shoot?
What time? Because we played a lot.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Did you? What was
Yep.
your best game?
Probably the last game we played, which isn't very good.
You
but,
improved. That's good.
I beat him, and that was our last time we'll play this summer. So
Good.
Beat him on the last
Way
match.
to beat that guy.
That's what I'm talking about, dude. It'd be clutch.
It wasn't that great. I think I shot like a 92, so it wasn't very
Hey,
good.
broke 100,
That's
man.
pretty good for Augusta.
I feel like, I don't know the stats, I'm going to make it up, but like, I feel like if you break 100, you're better than 95% of
I
golfers.
think I've heard that
Yeah.
or something like
Yeah,
that.
if you do it, if you actually keep your tally pretty well. I think a lot of people can lose a stroke on every hole.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's easy to do,
Yeah,
right? Especially if you're not shooting 3 or 4 on every hole. If you're shooting 6,
Them eight and nines.
yeah, it's pretty easy to forget that you chopped one 10 yards from you.
Yeah, or it's like, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
dumb.
yeah.
I'm not gonna count that one.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. But what's the difference in cheating if it's 120 and 130?
Yeah.
They're
It
both
ain't-
real bad.
It ain't, man. It ain't.
Yeah.
It's like 7%.
So, what was your highlight of your Illinois time?
Man, I just went there to relax. Probably see family. I guess that's my highlight. Is just relax, see family that I don't get to see most of the year. So.
Yeah.
Probably the coolest thing I did over break was go to Bozeman with you and Tyler.
Oh
So,
yeah, you like that?
Yeah, first
good.
time in Montana, so it's
Yeah.
pretty cool seeing that.
Yeah. What you think about the mountains in Montana?
Look pretty similar to all the other mountains I've seen.
Yeah.
But really, the floating the rivers was what was cool.
You
I
like that?
thought. Yeah.
You saw a lot of animals when we floated the river.
Yeah.
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 What?
They like rivers.
They do. That's where they live.
They need some water to drink. Yeah.
They do, man. So y'all went camping while you're up there?
Yep. Did a little camping. I mean, just kind of fun.
I feel like your camping that you do with your family is real nice because they got that camper, right?
Yeah, like I feel like Midwest. I don't know. I don't really see people camp down here. So like Midwest camping, it's like what?
Midwest nice.
Yeah, that's what it's like. It's like everyone wants to like spend their summers in a camper somewhere, just
Yeah.
not at their house.
Just
So,
with the windows open, no
yeah.
AC.
Yep.
What was the low when you were there?
It would get down in the high 60s.
Sounds nice.
Yeah.
And high 80s in the day.
The last day I was there was a high of 82. So
Ooh.
man,
Smoker.
It was
Holy
nice.
dude. Oh, it was like 78 one day, and we were at Denali, and there was a guy giving a presentation on Iditarod dogs or whatever, sled dogs, and he was like stuttering and stumbling, and was like, "Oh, it's so hot, y'all. I just can't think. I'm sorry." I'm like, "This is why we are here."
Hey, no joke. It's just like this thing that happens, right, where you get conditioned to where you live.
Yeah,
like it's
for
a real
sure.
thing, absolutely. And there's even like a microcosm to it, to where like, we went to the coast and I spent a lot of time outside. Now it's not terribly smoking hot, but it's hot. But you have the Gulf breeze, and in the shade it feels pretty good or whatever. But you're still just outside a lot, right? And I have been cold ever since we got home. We had a meeting this morning, a Zoom call, and the air conditioner, we have a window unit in our bedroom just kind of help in the summer. and my wife had turned it to 69 because she apparently wanted to be an ice cube. And I had to put on a blanket while we were in our meeting. I was so cold.
I was wondering why you had all the background blurred out.
Yeah, dude. Well,
It's probably just burning your blanket mountain back.
my child has broken the window blinds and stuff back there, so it just looks like, kind of trailer trash.
Yeah.
So,
you don't want your boss just telling you, hey, we pay you more than that.
Yeah, well, little do you know, sir, the dollar's worth less than it was
That's
yesterday.
exactly right. That's exactly right.
So we went to the coast and kind of did 2 legs of it. What?
I don't even know. You know that JP Awaken guy or whatever, the redheaded guy?
Oh, yeah,
I saw
funny.
a funny Instagram of him last night talking about inflation, and it looks like he's chatting with Biden about it. Oh, it's hilarious, dude.
He's a funny dude.
He is.
So we went to – I learned a little stuff. So hanging out with your parents is a good thing when you're older because you get to the things that used to really frustrate you as a kid, you just kind of laugh at now, but you kind of take note of so that maybe you'll remember them in 20 years, that, hey, that was kind of a thing. But my dad's generation just is not as in tune with the phone as we are nowadays, which is good in a lot of ways, but it makes vacation planning pretty interesting. Because he doesn't think to look and see when this place closes on his phone. It's like, hey, we want to go to that cafe or whatever, the fish place before it closes tonight. We need to leave the beach at a certain time. He's like, well, I guess we better just leave early. That way we make sure we make it there. It's like, or we could just get on the phone, see when it closes, and make sure we leave in time to make it there for that. So there's just little things like that. But the way we did our trip is we got little kids, so I didn't want to just take a weekend trip because it's just a lot of driving for a little bit of time. So we went to the Middle Coast, and then we went down south for the second half of the trip. And the Middle Coast was better fishing. We caught a couple big speckled trout in the surf, which was cool. Those things eat real good. We ate them at night in tacos, which was pretty good application.
How'd you cook them?
Skillet. Just did the butter thing.
You love that way, don't you?
It's a good way to eat fish, man.
So talk about in detail, but not for too long, how you cook that thing.
Okay, so the fillet matters on that, the way you fillet them, which I love ocean fish because they fillet easier than a lot of freshwater
So trout
fish.
fillet easy.
Yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They fillet really easy.
You do it from the top down the spine first.
Yeah, so a lot of ocean fish have meat that runs up along the top of their head. Mm-hmm. So you kind of do your fillet in 2 directions. You start out way up high, like you said, get in there and feel the spine, go all the way down, and then kind of lay that over and then cut the other side too. And what I've noticed with ocean fish at least, I like to just cut the fillet all the way off and then just take your fingers and hold the skin as opposed to, how the old school ways to
keep it on the tail.
Yeah, keep it on the tail, and it just gets
So you
messy.
are taking it off the trout skin.
Taking the
You're taking the meat off the skin on the trout.
Oh yeah.
So it's not like a half shell thing. Mm-mm. Is that hard? I feel like their skin is kind of like a catfish skin.
It's a little soft, but it's not hard to do.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I would not have known that.
Yes, it's not hard. Their skin just stays together pretty good, but they come off the fillet pretty easy. A good knife helps, of course.
We're using that Benchmade knife.
Those knives are nice.
They're sharp,
They're
aren't they?
sharp.
Well, I wonder if they'll stay sharp for a
I
while.
wonder if those are on the First Light sale. Or
I don't know.
It's
a
a
good
season
question.
opener sale, so it's not just First Light.
Yeah, right. It's all the meat eater
worth
stuff
checking,
or whatever. Yeah.
Because was that called a meat crafter?
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like an all-around knife, but it's long enough to be a fillet knife and it's bad to the bone.
I like that knife a lot.
Me too.
Yep.
But so if you do a fillet right, it doesn't take a lot of fish to feed a amount of people,
Especially tacos.
Yeah, if you're not doing like a fried fish application, it's tacos. It fed a lot of us. But I just did butter, salt, pepper, garlic in the skillet, and then
Flip it once.
yeah,
and probably doesn't take a minute hardly.
No, dude.
Yeah.
White flesh fish like that it takes no time to cook.
Love it, dude.
It's so
It's
good.
the best food in the world.
It's so good, yeah.
I love it.
My wife loves it too, which is nice whenever she actually like is in love with an outdoor food. You
Yeah,
know? It's
yeah.
like, well, let's get more of it. Yeah, for
So
sure.
one 20-inch fish could probably feed. Could it feed y'all the whole dinner?
Nah,
With
it was
tacos?
close.
Okay. So you kind of need two.
So we had some kids and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So two would be more than enough for tacos. Yeah. So pretty nice. But I caught those 2 fish on 2 different days. Caught a ton of little sharks, which we don't keep. Bonnet heads, spinners, sharp nose. So those are pretty cool to look at. And then that's about it. Gaff top, hard heads, all those kind of stuff. Fishing was way better there. Went down south. There was a cold water upwelling, which is only kind of happens in the further southern part of the Gulf. But it's like, for some reason, clear cold water pushes in from way offshore, and it just kills the bite in the surf, which is where I do the majority of my fishing. I just love surf fishing. Makes the water real like chocolate milk right at the bank, but there's like really good clear water right out past the third bar. But people catch big sharks and that stuff. We just didn't have our big shark rigs with us.
Big sharks follow that cold water.
You end up catching pelagics whenever that happens, so it's pretty cool. So, like, there'll be sharks, like, of course, tiger sharks are kind of a intermittent type thing, and those will be around. Greater hammers are the same way, but scallops are kind of, which is another type of hammerhead, they're a little bit more of an offshore type fish, especially the duskies. Those are really cool sharks that are offshore sharks, and I just saw one get caught this past weekend, like a 10-6 dusky, which is real big. They're real girthy, so they're cool looking fish. But anyways, we just did the castables and stuff, and that was a lot of fun. But got to fish with my kids, you know, and do that thing. And I'm kind of at a fun point in parenthood where my oldest is like kind of starting to understand a little bit what's going on. So to me, it's important at least to kind of make sure he has fun and don't push it too hard and make it something he wants to go back and do. So we got to do that. It was a good time. But there wasn't anything monumental too much, you know. Just being on the coast is nice. Being near HEB is nice. Avocados are
yeah,
good.
dude.
Mangoes are
Mangoes. They got all the fruits.
That's salsa.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
let me
dude.
tell you. I got 3 of those, and we had to go buy more. They're so good.
Dude, they can get kind of spicy on you.
They also can get kind of cankered on you, too.
Really?
Yeah, so I took one with us one day to the beach, but we didn't keep it cold the whole time. And then it was like kind of soured by the end of the day.
Fermented.
Yeah.
It's good for your belly.
That's what's going on here right now. Continental. So, yeah. Oh, I saw a bachelor group of bucks 20 miles down the beach.
That's
cool.
Nice
man.
ones. I tried to get some phone footage, but I don't think it's very
How
good.
are they getting fresh water?
I don't know. They're tough
Isn't that
animals.
wild?
Yeah.
Are they getting it from what they eat?
There's some back there. I don't know. Like, there's always, like, what do they call those type of pools that are, like, you know, from rainwater or whatever? I can't remember. There's a word for it. But there'll be pools of water back there. But there's not windmills out there anymore. You know, there's no cattle or anything getting run out there. So those deer are just livin out there, man.
That
Just
gummit,
living.
dude. Speaking of deer, man, are you wrapped up on your story there?
that's about it. I mean, just some good times.
So if you're watching on the video podcast, this is a buck. I bought this book a few years back, and I had to mention this before we got out of here since it is a deer hunting podcast for the most part. This is a deer that I just came across in this book just randomly while we were just messing around. We were thinking about ideas of different things. We always try to have these creative sessions, right? And I'm just like flipping through here for whatever reason. I'm really not paying a lot of attention, but I'm also thinking. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I look at this buck, I'm like, hey, that's kind of a common base
That's
time
the first
right
thing I
there.
noticed, too.
Yeah. So this buck, my dad has talked about this buck, and I've talked about it on this podcast before. But this buck was like, could have beat the world record typical at one point. It says the Johnny King buck here. This buck was a ginormous typical, but he's got essentially in between his G2 and G3, he's got a tine that goes straight up. That's a little bit shorter than the 2 and 3 on each side, though. It's symmetrical. And it's debatable as to whether this is a common base point or not. Now, on this side, it definitely, to me, looks pretty common base. On the other side, not so much. Either way, I think it would disqualify him from being the world record based off of net score. But it's interesting because This happened in 2006 when this deer was shot, and there was so much debate over it because the Pope and Young, or I guess whoever, Boone and Crockett, I think he shot it with a rifle. Boone and Crockett didn't really want to have a controversial buck
because they got the perfect buck.
Yeah, they kind of, they got one that's like for sure the deal. So they didn't really probably want a controversial buck. So apparently, like, it's never been resolved as to whether this dude actually, I don't know if I'm not sure. I hadn't read this whole story yet, but it's something I'm going to think about and look at if you're interested in looking at it later too. We may talk about it later, but it's just interesting because my dad ended up shooting a deer in 2011, which was 5 years later. That was a giant, not a world record by any means, but a huge 10-point, typical, that also had on one side, he had a tine that was close together. His G3 and his G2 were close together, and he had it officially scored just because this deer is, a booner, essentially. And the scorer was afraid to call it, to call that tine its own tine and a symmetrical tine, even though he's a very symmetrical looking buck, but it's kind of hard to tell for sure. And I think the actual definition is that would have been a G3, but instead he called it an abnormal tine because it came really close to having a common base with that G2, and it kept that deer, my dad's deer, from being a booner by like a couple eighths. It was like I think the deer netted 169, but he grossed like 184.
It's painful.
Yeah, and so anyway, it's just an interesting little fact I had there. I wanted to show that picture in the video while we were sitting here, and I had thought about it earlier.
It's cool. I'm glad you bring up whitetails because, man, it's coming right now.
It's coming, dude.
It's like the thing we're about to get on. And I would imagine, honestly, that this is probably one of the last podcasts you'll listen to us this season, that it's not like full boards deer hunting, or at least, some hardcore hunting tactics and stuff. We got elk and pronghorn and mule deer and whitetail and all kinds of stuff coming up. So I'm pretty stoked about that. That should let you know, again, it is the season opener. If you're listening to this close to when it comes out, that sale's going on. Hop on firstlite.com or wherever else and check out some of that stuff. Check out some of the new stuff we've got going with X, as in Twitter. And, man, just follow us on social and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, also, if you have a question that you want us to answer, we're going to do another Q&A podcast. We're going to try to do one before the season starts. So send us a message right now, email, DM on Instagram. I guess you could probably send it on X if you wanted to while you're there. So make sure on X. How about that? Isn't that weird?
It's hard.
On the app X, not on the app on X, right? So on the app X, you could send us a DM.
I'm glad they can't message me on X.
Isn't that weird? I know, that'd be, hey, bro, where you shoot that deer at? Send me a pin. Send me a pin.
How do you know I'm on here?
Anyway, guys, thanks for listening and watching whatever you're doing. And we appreciate all the love, all the questions and everything. Remember, this is your element.
Live in it.
As you know, the Meat Eater Live Tour is on April 23rd through May 5th. Chances are in a town near you. What you may not know is you can win tickets to each of these events just by going to a backcountry hunters and anglers pint night. There's going to be a pint night in each of these towns: San Diego, Salt Lake City, Tempe, Anaheim, Boise, Sacramento, Missoula, Portland, Tacoma, where you can compete in Meat Eater trivia and win not only tickets to the show, but a chance to be on stage with all of us. So get your butt to a pint night, and we'll see you on stage.